Hello, everyone, and welcome to Connecticut at your service. My name is Carmen Nieves, and I'm your host. This show is about spotlighting the individuals, the businesses, and the nonprofits that are making a difference in our community and are helping to serve. One of those amazing people is the gentleman that I'm interviewing today, John Ike, who's the executive director of Soundview TV, where we are right now. John, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Sure.
This is another episode that we're doing, and I felt that it was really important for people to know the great work that Soundview does and what you do and all the ways that our community can get involved. I know that you're an alumnus of Southern Connecticut State University. You've been here at Soundview for 22 years. You've worked your way up in the ranks. You even were in the medical field and then transitioned into this. So tell me a little bit about you and kind of what led you here and, you know, what great things are you doing?
Sure. Well, thank you for profiling Soundview, because Soundview needs as much exposure as we can get, because community television is kind of a fading breed, you know, and we're trying to keep things going here. But, you know, my background, the medical part of my background was actually medical videography, where I went into the operating rooms and televised operations live. You know, that was part of the Harvard Medical School. But I don't know, you know, I mean, I graduated from Southern, and I just, you know, I was a communications major, and I was, you know, in the TV studio behind the camera working with all the equipment because nobody else wanted to do it. That's how I was always technically inclined. So my jobs have always been technical. And up until about when I took over Soundview, because my mentor and you know, the guy that started this thing, he unfortunately passed away.
I'm sorry to hear
tragically, you know, suddenly. And so I was thrust into this position. And, you know, Soundview is a fun place to work. And, you know, we're trying to keep the community aspect of television going, because this is the only place where people, the average person, can go and have a TV show and actually exercise their First Amendment right, because that's a big problem these days. I mean, when you can have a TV show on the internet, but if you have, you know, your opinion doesn't jibe with the owner of the website's opinion, you get kicked off. But here, it's First Amendment. Anybody can come on and say anything they want to say, as long as it fits our community standards, which is usually around, you know, using the F word or not.
Well,
you know?
we don't want to use that, not here.
But, you know, I mean, if they want to give their opinions on whatever it is, politics or, you know, things like that, you know, I mean, we're open.
It's really exciting, and you focus on 3 genres, right? So you mentioned government, and what are the other 2 that you showcase here?
So really, the main channel, the one that has the most life, and it's got a life of its own actually, and the most programming, is the public channel, which is what we're on right now. So that's where anybody can have a show. When it comes to the educational channel and the government channel, there are restrictions. You have to be affiliated with either an educational, it doesn't have to be so much a school, it could be any educational organization. And the government channel is kind of restricted to governments like one of our towns or the state government. You know,
and you mentioned towns. How many towns do we serve here through Soundview?
Well, Soundview really, on Frontier, we're carried all over the state. So anybody that has the Frontier system in their town can see Soundview. We also have a website, so that's pretty much anybody in the world can see our live stream on our website. But where we started was through Cablevision, which became Altice a couple of years ago. And that is the Optimum system, which is carried in Stratford, Bridgeport, Fairfield, Milford, Orange, and Woodbridge. Most of our subscribers come from those towns.
And I heard that's a rather large number. Share with us like how many subscribers we have, because it's actually like a large number.
Well, we never know the exact number because it's always changing. And through cord cutting, it seems to be getting less and less. But when we started, we were around over 100,000 subscribers, and now we're down to like 80. But we did, it's kind of proprietary information, so they never give us the exact number.
But it's a big number.
But they have to report it to the government, the agency that's. It used to be the DPUC, PURA now. They're the regulatory body in Connecticut, so they know.
But it's really exciting for, I completed the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, and I was looking to do something special, and it's such an awesome story about how you just form connections and just looking to help people find their voice and be innovative and creative. So I called your training manager just to kind of like, for something completely different. And 2 months and here we are, and this is like so exciting that the average person that has an idea or a way that they want to share information can use SoundView to be able to do that. So I know that it requires that you take some training. So how is it that people can get involved in the station or think about proposing a show, or what kind of training? A lot of questions, right?
Rapid fire. But no, actually, they're great questions, because when we started, you had to go through a training course, which was 6 to 8 weeks, and you got trained on mostly the main studio and field kits, and then editing. Now, if you want to be trained to produce a show, you got to go through the training. If you want to have a show, in the old days, if you wanted to have a show, you weren't able to do that unless you got hooked up with people that could run the cameras and whatnot. But now with Sound Off, which is this show that's going to be resurrected over the summer, anybody can come in and just sit down and tell their story or do whatever. We want to showcase some of the artists too, and we're hopefully going to build out from a talk show into having singers and musicians and even fine artists. If somebody comes in and talk about their paintings or something like that. So it's going to be very broad in what we do, but that's, it grew out of having a core of like 6 people. Then you have a team, you have a TV show. Well, right now, it's very hard to get 6 people together on a regular basis and week after week and have a show. So SoundView will help out people that want to. And still getting information. I'll tell you, I watch at all kind of crazy hours. And there's shows that play over, or people have like public service announcements or things like that to get information out to the community. And speaking about that, I know that you were mentioning like Sound Off, and that you have like street teams, like interviewing people. I know that you're wanting to talk a little bit about a segment that was done. I would love to hear a little bit about that. Okay. And then let's show it to our viewers. Yeah, well, they didn't let me set it up.
Well, I think everyone agrees that it's just crazy. And it's been the most expensive for things I've ever seen. It's been horrible, really horrible.
It's terrible. I mean, I just feel for everyone. It's hard to just get by every day. I can't imagine some people that have a lot of children. I mean, it's just problem. Baby formula, gas prices, oil, war, terrible.
My son just started driving, and between me and him, and I have like a sedan and he has a Honda, it's like $150 a week. And I park at the train most days. It's really bad. And my fiance puts 120 in his tank every 5 days. It's awful.
I'm not happy. Well, because it costs a lot of money to drive these fast cars around. I speed, I break the laws, and everything I do costs me more money.
It's not fun. We've spent more on gas this month than a long time. I don't have good numbers, but it's rough.
Gas prices shouldn't be that high. People got jobs and to get to other bills. You know, they gotta get to point A and point B, and gas is a pretty important part. After a while, everybody gonna start riding scooters like me. So I honestly don't know what to say about that. It's a horrible thing that's going on right now. It needs to change immediately. I remember, like, I think 2 years ago, it was one point I seen gas for like $1.99, and I'm seeing almost $5.
Maybe the prices of gas are getting up because of the war with Ukraine, and now we're just trying to. It's better because right now, because the governor just put the law that remove the tax on gas, and that's maybe better.
These are private corporations. They know what they're doing. This has been going on for quite some time now. Oil's a big business, big money. It has nothing to do with the government. The government, they're like the regulators, the referee. But again, you know, we can't scream on the president for that. I think he's been doing a relatively good job.
Biden needs to go. Thank you.
Would you like to answer a couple questions?
Okay, before you say something, I just got to say something because they didn't let me set that up. So I want to give props to Terry and Sergio because they went out and recorded that yesterday. And that's the thing. That was kind of near the train station up here. But these are people in our community. So if we're interested in what's going on in the community, we want to reach out to the people. And that's kind of like a question about what's going on right now in everybody's consciousness.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's being affected by the inflation. So that's an easy one. But, you know, we want to ask people questions about other issues too as we go along. And this is a segment I want to keep going for a while and have this be a weekly segment.
I think that's so important to let the community, you know, hear their voices. And what you're noticing is that a lot of people across our state are facing challenges. I mean, this segment was talking about inflation and gas, and I love that last shot with the dog on the passenger. I thought that was great. But it's really, people are having to make choices that they didn't have to before.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm fortunate that I work for an organization where I'm able to work remote at least a couple of days. If you saw some of the people that were sharing kind of some of their frustration about gas prices, you know, it's a lot of money. And when you have to think about, am I going to get to work or things like that? So I know that people have the opportunity. You're doing these like kind of like live street interviews around town when there's certain things. Are there other types of shows that that Soundview does broadcast for the different producers that you have?
Well, every producer that has a show here, you know, it's up to the producer. And so we have various different shows. Most of our shows are produced somewhere else, but we do a lot of live shows here. You'll see on Friday nights, there's 2 back-to-back talk shows that are really popular, and they're live. We also do live to YouTube. That's another thing, and we have a Haitian gentleman who produces a show every week that has a very broad audience, and it's not just our area, but it's because it's in the French Creole. There are a lot of people back in Haiti watch the show, as well as people that are new to this country or have been here some time, but they're still connected to their community back home. You know, are very interested in his show, and we do. You know, I don't know if you've seen all of our shows, but there's mostly talk shows that are produced in-house. Outside, there's a real popular show right now that we have on, which is an exercise show.
Okay.
And I don't know, we've been getting a lot of calls. People want to know when the exercise show is on.
That's
and
awesome.
you know, and
I'll
there's a lot
watch
of
from here.
seniors that are interested in it because it's simple exercises for people that are, you know, in their living room. So it's interesting.
And you mentioned seniors, so that brings the question, is there like a certain age for someone to be involved with Soundview, or, you know, for them to have their own show, to take the training?
Well, to be a certified producer, you have to be 18 or over.
Okay.
But we did have a show years ago that we want to see get going again, which was called Meet the Seniors. And it was run by all senior citizens, and they did everything, the camera work, the direction, the announcing, and the editing, and we're hoping we can get something like that running again. But, you know, other than that, there's no age restriction.
Oh, that's amazing. And so what I thought was really, really interesting is that Soundview, when I first became aware of the organization, used to be in Bridgeport. Tell me a little bit about where you are now, because it's actually pretty interesting what the building is.
Yeah, this, I don't know the full history of this building, but it's, I think it was built in the late 1800s, and it was originally a gas company or an oil company, or, you know, one of those utilities, and then it became a bank, and it was a bank for many years, and in several different banks. So that's why we have a vault.
There's a vault in the building, ladies and gentlemen, in the building.
That's where we keep our camera equipment and all the expensive electronics.
I thought it was going to be the snacks. I didn't know, because, you know, that's what I'd be looking for. So that is amazing. So in this building, it used to be an old bank, and there's vaults. How many studios do you have in here? Mixing rooms, conference rooms, offices?
Well, we have 2 studios right now. Our Studio B, this is Studio A. Studio B is undergoing a renovation.
Okay.
And what we're going to do with that studio is put in remote control, pan and tilt cameras, but a podcast studio. And that's an interesting thing, because the podcast studio, somebody could come in and do a podcast, which we can get the video of their podcast and air it on our channel, but also they can take a little recording of the podcast and upload it to their Apple iTunes or, you know, whatever venue that they put their podcasts on. So we're going to have all that equipment available here. Then we have an editing system. Right now it's one system. We had 2 systems at one point, but, you know, equipment becomes obsolete after some time, and that's another thing of cord cutting has reduced our budget to a point where, you know, it's getting really expensive to keep everything running for us. But also we moved from Bridgeport because the landlord down there raised our rent, and it became economically more manageable for us to move to this smaller facility. You know, our studio is smaller here, but it's more manageable for us. Then that's it for the production, and then the rest is just offices, a couple offices.
And this is like really great. The first time that I came in, I thought it was like an art gallery, because you've got like art on the walls. You know, I remember when I was coming in to learn how to do the show, I remember asking your training director, I said, you know, what's the color that you don't wear? He's like, lime green. Don't wear lime green, because you're going to blend and it's only going to be your face. So it's all these little quick things that you learn of how to do that, and just the crew is wonderful. You should be really, really happy, because I think they're just fantastic. But the reality is that most of the people that help are volunteers. So could you share with us, how is it that if someone wants to have a show, if you want to call in and ask John a question, make sure that you do that. How can they support the Soundview? What are different ways that people can help get the message out and support the organization or the TV station?
Yeah, well, we're always welcoming volunteers. But we're also we're considering ways that we can fundraise, because we are a nonprofit organization. We have that 501c3 classification, so we can fundraise. It's getting to that point where we need to do more of that and be more proactive in that area. But also, you know, we want to be able to have freelancers work with us producing quality programming, because it's one thing to have quantity of programming, a ton of programming, which we have a lot of original programming, but the quality too. You need to step up, because it's so easy to flip the channel over to something that's more eye-catching. You know, that's where live programming comes into it. You know, it catches your eye when you see a live show. But anybody that wants to be involved on it, whether or not it's on a volunteer basis or to have their own show, we encourage anybody to give it a shot. What do you have to lose?
And you train them.
And
so it's not like they need to do it all on their own if they really wanted to do something. I mean, if you're going to be a host, I think that's a little bit different. But I went to the Connecticut School of Broadcasting, so I feel like I got some props.
Yeah.
But but they do the training here, and the training is free, right?
Yes.
Is the training free?
It's absolutely free. We provide the course materials, which is a manual pretty much, and we do all the training, and it starts in this studio. You learn the cameras, the mics, the lights, the switchers, the audio mixers, all that stuff. And then the editing would be next. Mm-hmm. And we're hoping to get some more field equipment.
And interviews that people, if that's maybe what you want to do and help out the organization. I have to say, this looks, to someone who's never done that before, like very professional, Yeah. Like the room is beautiful, where they're mixing, where they're timing. There's 3 different cameras here that get all the different angles. It's just, for somebody, this is like really exciting. Like behind the desk, I have a plant, I have a phone, I feel really, really important, and we want to be able to share that with the community, to know that you're welcome here. So basically, John, what I heard you say is that we've been around, this station's been around for a long time. You train volunteers to do their own shows if they wanted to do that, or just the editing. You show them how to use the equipment. People can volunteer, people can come, they can be involved. So what's next for Soundview, do you think? Like, where do you see it going next? Because this is exciting to me, and to the fact that from my family and friends would be like, oh, you're on a show, and I get to tell them, and they're like, they think I'm all fancy, and I'm just really an everyday person that just wants to showcase what other people do, like you, to be a door opener for others.
That's a big thing. Our next thing would be to broaden that out. Also, we're recently working on a grant with the city of Bridgeport to do a summer program to get people, the youth. The youth is really, if we can get young people interested in producing, they're the ones that are really tech savvy when it comes to the internet. Like, if we can take a show here and port it to Instagram or YouTube or whatever,
where it lives forever.
The other venues that people are using, and not necessarily a half-hour show. You take a snippet of your show and put it on your Instagram. That we want to get exposure that way. And actually, when you think about it, TikTok, whether they limit you to like 1 minute or 2 minutes or something like that. I know it's
but a
still
lot of people
fairly
are
new.
like Instagram. I don't know, but that is in fact where we're going. Like a lot, you said that TV and public access are very different kind of mediums and are treated very different. So it's important to kind of like know the difference. So, and I love that you're talking about engaging young people, because we just heard the segment of where people were talking about inflation, but the big thing that's happening with young people is mental health.
Yeah.
How are they using their voices? I know that part of the training that you offer is for people to kind of share what they might want to do a show about, and have like storyboards, and just being able to have youth do that. I think it's just amazing.
I know on your show, you're probably going to have somebody to talk about mental health issues, and that is a big issue right now. And I think, television is a good outlet to talk about issues like that. I would love to have a youth issues-oriented talk show,
I would too. I would love that.
And just they used to have that when I was a teenager, where kids would sit around and rap, that's what they called it. And sit on the couch and rap about your problems. But it's a little more sophisticated now. But it's the same thing, everybody needs an outlet, so.
And to be able to use your voice, and what's the best way to teach them how to pitch something to bring awareness and shine a little light on it, instead of coming down on things like a hammer. That's what this show is all about, making sure that we're shining some light on the individuals that are making a difference, that are serving the community, and that they want to make change in our community. So I'm just excited. The lines are open. We want to make sure that you know the website in case you wanted to volunteer, sign up, take a training, or just in general come and take a look at the artwork that Soundview has in its lobbies.
I
John,
have to
what
say
might be
something
really
about
great?
the artwork.
Yeah.
We have had shows in our hallway where we showcased artists in this area. Tom and Ricky could probably tell you a lot more than I could, but we did some shows of some local artists. I think it was the Stratford Art Society or something like that. And we had openings where we had, wine and cheese here, and people got to come through and see the art. And that was another community event that was pretty neat. And we're hoping to do some of that because unfortunately COVID kind of put an end to that for a while.
Twitter, and people aren't going out, so they've got to get real-time information to things that are happening. But you mentioned Ricky, and I just cannot let the show go without giving Ricky Mestri a little shout out. If you've seen, did you see he was on a billboard and on a bus?
Yeah, he's the
He's
resident
quite the
star.
little celebrity. We might have to have him on next. I don't know. We're just trying to figure out. So, so for me, just again, we want individuals to be encouraged to come on the show if you're interested in being on the show. If you want to do your own show, we want to make sure that you're doing all the things with Soundview. We're wrapping up the show, John. Is there any final words that you would like to share with the viewers today?
Well, go to our website, absolutely. I think that if they need any more information, it's pretty much everything's on the website. And then it'll give you the phone numbers and the contact emails and stuff like that if you want to know more information. And also our schedule, because you want to know when the live programs are on. If people like to call in, you can't call into a pre-recorded program. So.
But we're live each Tuesday at 6:30, so make sure that you call in, that you watch, that you share, and understand that Connecticut at Your Service is about featuring the individuals, the nonprofits, and the businesses that are making a difference in our community. If you have something that you want to, if you see one of our street crews interviewing with a microphone, make sure that you let them know what you're thinking, what the question might be, and tune in next week with myself, Carmen Nieves, the host of Connecticut at Your Service. Find us on Soundview, or you can call in. We'll see you next week.